everyone, and welcome to yet another edition of 1, 2, 3 Wrestling's Royal Ramble. I am your host, Kristen, as always, joined by Nick Slade.
You can't see me.
Well, we saw him one last time recently as John Cena lost in his final match
Mm.
in, somebody made a good point, in Obi-Wan Kenobi style fashion.
I mean, did you see he posted on Instagram? He always likes to post just pictures.
Yeah.
He posted Obi-Wan Kenobi from New Hope.
Yeah, John Cena lost final match against Walter. Walter, love him or Raw, went, I made him tap out like a bitch. I'm like,
Oh, he embraced it.
that is the most emote heavy I've ever seen Walter. It's just that
Oh
line
man, the
delivery.
booze he got and the way he soaked it in, and when he confronted AJ Styles, like, oh, is AJ next?
We'll see what happens. But we are here to talk about one John Felix Anthony Cena's. He has two middle names. Son of a bitch. Final year as a professional in-ring wrestler.
Mm.
So here we are. This is what we're being talking about this entire time. We're gonna go from the beginning of his career. Good Lord, we'll be here forever. We go into the beginning of when his retirement tour was announced to what we saw just recently at Saturday Night's main event. And
Mm-hmm.
we will not be holding back. Well, Nick will kind of be holding back because he's a little bit under weather, but Nick will not be holding back. Yes. I didn't know
We'll see how it goes.
I didn't know he had a Bachelor of Science from where he graduated, in the college he graduated from. Dude, his great grandfather's first name is Ulysses.
Yeah, his where's that? Yeah, his grandfather played for the Boston Red Sox. His great grandfather was a businessman, politician.
Yeah. And I just recently found out he will be in my neck of the woods come next March.
Yeah, he's going to be at MegaCon.
Yep. Tickets for him will be going on sale tomorrow.
Those lines will be out the door.
Yes, for an invisible man.
Mm.
Yeah, so let's talk about Mr. P, the prototype, Juan Cena, aka John Cena, who was also one time billed from Area 51.
He's a prototype.
He was the prototype. So let's talk about it. So, do you want to start from the beginning, or you want to give like a quick thought about his retirement tour, like before we
It'd
really
probably be
dive
better
into
to
it?
go through it step by step, chronologically. That way, it'd be easier to organize my thoughts on take each thing like the good with the bad. So I guess we can start with his announcement of the tour.
So, let us begin. On July 6, 2024, at the 2024 Money in the Bank, he showed up to confusingly announce, because remember, we thought the way he worded it sounded like, I'm retiring right now. It's like, wait, what? No, he's like, no, he said like he was going to retire at next year's WrestleMania. And it was like, wait, what? Like next year's WrestleMania? And then in the post show when they were still doing them, like he went, no, from the beginning of January of 2025 to the end December is my retirement tour from beginning to end. That's it. Nothing, nothing much else to say on that, and that's where we begin. So let's start with your initial thoughts. What was your initial thoughts when you heard that 2025 was gonna be the last year you would see John Cena in ring competition?
Well, it was a bit of a surprise to hear at that moment. It wasn't that surprising because we knew he had been a part timer for a number of years. That it was gonna be just a matter of when, not if, he was going to retire. And the fact that he announced he was getting a whole year retirement tour, I was like, oh, that's good
Mm-hmm.
because usually we only get like one match and that's it. And or wrestlers like Triple H who don't get a chance to have a retirement match, they just have to retire. But I was like, well, at least John Cena's going to get a whole year to say goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, that was basically it. Surprised to hear in the moment, but not surprised overall.
Yeah, mostly the same here. I wasn't entirely shocked. I sometimes I forget his age because he keeps himself in great shape. But like, even during that announcement, he was like what 47. Like now he's 48. Like it's hard to believe that at first. But then you look at his age. You look at how long, how he's because there's stats now on live like how many matches he's had since the beginning of his run, and he's had
Hmm.
like hundreds by hundreds in just 1 year alone, for instance. And like just to see it slowly dwindle as he became more and more Mr. Hollywood, like The Rock
Hmm.
said, like he was procrastinating The Rock with all those years ago, like
Hmm.
slowly. So like he knew, I wasn't like oh my god, but like okay, I was curious to see. I was definitely curious to see how they were gonna do it given his Hollywood schedule, given like we didn't at the time we didn't know how many dates he was going to get for all of 2025, as well as who his final opponents would be. And I know we were guessing as well who it should be, people it should be. I think one of us brought up AJ Styles at the very least, which we called right.
Hmm.
Um, and there was a lot of predictions, especially considering that it was going to start at the Royal Rumble. You know, well, it wasn't going to fully start the Royal Rumble. He showed up at the Netflix premiere, right?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he showed up there. I can't believe that was this year. It felt like it was the previous year. No, yeah, he showed up. I know it was reported that apparently Cody wanted to do a bigger spot. And WWE Unreal, it was like it showed that Cody wanted to do a bigger spot with him that night, but they weren't allowing. They just wanted to see him to show up, wave, bye, and all that. Um, but yeah, we wouldn't have his first returning in ring match until let's see, maybe again, the 2025 Men's Royal Rumble.
Hmm.
Now, he was very obviously one of the top picks to win that this year's Rumble.
Yeah, I'd say the obvious picks were either him or Punk.
It was like him. It was between like him, Punk, like small chance it was gonna be Roman. Like very small chance if we're being honest. Like it was down to a whole bunch of people. But it came down to two people, Cena and Jay. And remember, we watched this live. We were like, oh, it's Cena. It's obviously Cena. They're doing this whole thing where like
Hmm.
he's gonna win it. He's gonna take on Cody. And even then, we were still not sure if they were going to give him the title so he can, well, break a streak, a WWE version of a championship, number of
Record.
championship record, you
Yes,
know?
because technically speaking, Ric Flair is 21 time record
Yeah,
champion.
that's what I said. By
But the
WWE's,
WWE cannot chronological. Yeah,
yeah, 17 times.
yeah.
But no, Jey Uso won in shocking fashion. But we weren't like I remember I was surprised, but I'm like, okay, so that's where we're going. He's gonna win at a chamber. Jay's gonna take on Walter. It makes sense because at the time, considering what we're looking at now, looking back, the
Okay.
time Jay was fucking over with the entire fucking crowd.
Yeah, he
Like
was.
this,
Yeah.
he was yeeting left, right, center. Like Yeet was very strong with the Force early on in this year. I can't wait till we talk about best of talk of like worst because the current
Yeah,
J
the rise and fall of Jey Uso.
yeah, but it was the right move. I think at the time we was like okay, there's still the chamber, but I think that was the right move. Wasn't
Hmm.
like completely out of the book. It makes sense. Strike while the iron's hot with Jey Uso. Yeah, okay, sure,
Yeah.
fine. Cena looked disappointed, but even in his post match, he seemed still very humble by the loss because it was still as we find out later in interviews we've gotten recently. He's been doing what veteran wrestlers usually do on their final run, which is put the younger talent over, and this was the first sign of that. Oh boy, I wish they kept that momentum going. Um, so that was where we began really in January was his Netflix Raw premiere, the Rumble. Were you let me ask you initially, were you surprised by Cena's Rumble match loss or did it not entirely surprise you?
Oh no, it absolutely surprised me that he lost. Uh, I thought it would be him or Punk. I figured that if he did, I think we did come to the conclusion that most likely he was probably going to lose Rumbles. He could, so he have an excuse to be in the chamber, and that he would win there. Excuse me.
Mm.
Uh, so I think we figured originally that CM Punk was going to win the Rumble, and that Cena was going to win the Chamber. But then once Punk was eliminated, it's like okay, then Cena is going to win the Rumble. I wonder what he's going to do at Chamber then. And then Jey Uso beat him, and we were completely shocked when it happened. And at time, like in a good way, because like, oh, somebody different won, like somebody interesting won. It was interesting at the time.
Yeah.
Um, excuse me, one. So real quick, should have brought another one.
Mm.
Um, they have dealing with the sinus thing, but yeah, I was surprised. I was 100% surprised that Jey Uso won and John Cena lost. But then, like you, I was like, okay, well, Cena's most likely going to win a chamber then. And
Mm.
then and that was that.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. It was an interesting start to his retirement tour, but then it shocked us. But in the long run, it made at the time it made sense. Okay, so then we cut to let's see, the Elimination Chamber match,
Mm-hmm.
which he would win, beating Punk, Priest, McIntyre, Paul, and Rollins in that match. And it was a
Mm-hmm.
good match. It was a great match. And of course, remember the SmackDown before, The Rock asking, oh my god, the fucking Rock.
Yeah, we'll talk about him in
Yeah,
detail.
we'll talk about him in a sec. But The Rock on the SmackDown before showed up, offered Cody to sell his soul to give him, like, basically Cena's spot, like the top spot in the company. And, Cody said he'd get back to him on that. And so, end of the Elimination Chamber happens. Rock comes out with everybody's favorite not wrestler rapper, Travis Scott, and we saw it. God, oh my God, I'm trying to not be frustrated and happy at the same time this moment happened. So, of course, Cody told Rocky go fuck himself, which
Mm-hmm.
was such a great line delivery. And
Yeah,
so,
because we were worried that idea that Cody might turn heel.
yeah.
Because we were originally thinking of the idea that it would be heel Cody and face Cena.
Oh yeah,
So
definitely. Um, so yeah, that happened, and as they're hugging, we saw the Cena face. We
yeah,
saw Rock do this low blow to Cody. Cena clocks him with the belt. Travis Scott ruptures the eardrum of Cody Rhodes because he's a stupid ass motherfucker when it comes to pro wrestling stuff.
oh,
Um,
and I say in general.
yeah. So this moment happened. And I remember, we fucking loved it. Now, somebody brought up a good point. Another wrestling guy I follow. The the heel turn itself sucked donkey balls. The moment he turned heel was fucking great.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were not expecting that. We were never expecting that. Hell, apparently John Cena didn't know till the day of he was turning heel, according to him, in recent interviews.
Oh, that's something we're gonna talk about the freaking big brains on creative and their long term thinking.
And yeah, low blowed him, and that was the beginning of heel Cena. So suffice to say, heel Cena was interesting for the most part. Um, One thing. Okay, so I forgot. Did he start? Okay, did he explain himself after Elimination Chamber, or was that after WrestleMania? I don't remember that part.
I don't remember exactly when. This is March 17th, 2025. So that would have been
Yeah,
elimination. Oh,
because I do
sorry,
not.
elimination chamber. Okay, so it would have been. It was a little bit afterwards.
Okay. Okay. But was it before Mania?
It was before Mania, yeah.
Okay. Wins Chamber. Okay. And so we had John Cena turning heel. Now, obviously, our minds were going left, right, center. Like, oh, heel John Cena. Ooh, this is gonna be interesting. Like, he hasn't been a heel in like
Since 2003.
since 2003. Thank you. And like the potential you could do like a face Styles, a face Punk, like Cody Rhodes going in as the biggest babyface of the company. Aside from him, like man, it was gonna be mind blowing. It was gonna be amazing. Like the potential was endless of where they could go with this. His reasoning, his explanations, which I thought were good. I thought was good. A bit stereotypical, but for the most part, it worked. It really did.
Mm-hmm.
Was there any other thoughts going when he turned heel? Was there any
Well,
thoughts?
yeah. Well, one of the most exciting thing about it is it really gave us the idea that he was going to have an alliance with The Rock. That was going to be a permanent thing. That it
Oh,
was going to be like a two-man power trip. Um, yeah,
Mister, I
and then
come up with the idea and then I leave.
man, The Rock is somebody I used to be a really really big fan of, but in recent years, both of his activities as an actor and his involvement in wrestling,
Mm.
I don't feel the same as much as I used to. I feel like The Rock has made so many selfish decisions. The fact that he almost ruined the WrestleMania main event with Roman and Cody,
Yeah.
and that he almost basically ruined this WrestleMania main event by involving himself to not showing up, and then Travis Scott being involved and all that. I was like, that's one WrestleMania you almost ruined, and one WrestleMania you kind of did ruin.
Yeah. So eventually, like I said, so like we were talking about, he would go on to, of course, do the whole, it's your guys' fault. I'm not changing for I am because I love, I know this is my thing. You don't get the
This,
satisfaction,
yeah,
you
this is
know.
one. That's what I felt like one of the first mistakes was because I kind of get what they were going with, but him still dressing like babyface John Cena is one of the first mistakes I think they made because
Mm-hmm.
it made it hard to buy into the fact that he was not the same person. Because at this point, you just had whiny heel John Cena. He's still dressing like John Cena. And it wouldn't be until WrestleMania where they would take away the entrance music, which I thought that was smart, but we'll get to that in a second. But the presentation to me, I don't know. I did not like the idea of him still wearing the same gear. I felt like he should have changed his gear. The music should have changed. Eventually, they would do something about the music. We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
But I thought this was kind of one of the first. Well, the first mistake was getting Travis Scott involved at all. Second mistake was making us think The Rock was going to be involved. Third mistake was to me not really changing Cena's look.
Yep.
But
Uh, so eventually, we would get an in person get it at night 2 of WrestleMania 41. And that
mm-hmm.
was an experience in person, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, we were there in person.
The crowd was cheering the fuck out of Cena.
Oh, I
So,
remember being pissed at the crowd because I thought they were overwhelmingly shitty to Cody Rhodes.
yeah, because they wanted John Cena to pick up a new championship win and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I didn't care.
but yeah,
John's okay. This is where we got the title placeholder John Cena with the black screen. It's just
yeah,
saying John's. I thought that was really well done.
yeah. I
I
did think
thought
that was smart. That was something different to do.
I thought that was a step in the right
It's
direction.
like I'm not giving you my entrance theme.
I do agree with you that I do wish we had more of a heel outfit. Like, even if it's just still the jorts and stuff, coming out with something else, a little bit more heelish. Like, I
Like I don't
get
know. At
it.
least change the colors.
Like, I get it. He was trying to do this whole, like, you guys don't deserve to see, full different outfit and stuff like that because the way you've mistreated me all these years and shit like that. And I'm like, okay, sure, yeah, fine. But like, I do part of me does wish, still or even wish, like he did have a bit of an outfit change and like there was a bit, yeah, like it was just all black. Or even if, because they came out with a shirt that just said John Cena on it, and that's it. Like, even if he just came out with a shirt like that, with a hat that said that, Like Black Towel, like that would have been fine by me. That would have been clever, you know.
People still probably would have bought it.
Yeah. But it is what it is, and we got what we got. What we did get was a good fucking night 2 main event at WrestleMania. Fucking, where do you fucking start with this? I'm still not over it. This was 8 months ago, and I'm still not fucking over it. This was
man. Especially after like the fact that night 2 was mostly good leading up to that point. It was kind of weird. Like it was Rick versus night 1 was kind of like but the main event was really good, and then night 2 was like, oh, this is pretty good, and the main event was like, because like even leading up to the ending, the match itself was pretty bland because it was like Cody and Cena were just kind of going through the motions.
Oh yeah.
And Cena was kind of like deliberately holding back.
I don't get it. This. Okay, so we're going to just talk about this match again. And I swore I was going to hold back this PTSD for a while, but we have to talk about it.
This is healthy. This is healthy. We got to talk about it.
The crowd. Okay, so the crowd. Look, I get it. Like Cena's like, we got to remember WrestleMania is a combination of a hardcore fans and casual fans, and a lot of Cena fans lately because Cena's been over for the last few years now. Like, I get it. It didn't help with the match. I think looking back at it could have been a better match. Before we get to the Travis Scott bullshit, let me be clear about that. I thought this could have been booked as a better match. I get he's a heel now, but he could have been doing more. Like, fuck, the literally next month at Backlash against Randy was a better match.
Oh yeah, we know Cody
Go on.
And we know Cody's going to have chemistry because there's SummerSlam match later on.
Yeah, that was great. That was well done. Where the fuck was that with this match? No, what we got instead was back and forth slow bullshit for 90% of this match, 95% of this match. Travis Scott takes forever on a fucking day to get to the ring. No Rock. Nobody like that. Cena low blows Cody, hits him with the belt,
yeah,
to win. And we're sitting there, and I have my Zelda Legend buddy Rod with us, and we were just going, wait, is that really it? And we stayed there for like another 5 to 10 minutes to see if anything nothing happened. And we were like, what the fuck was that? Like, the
most generic heel way to win. And even though they had said, oh, The Rock's not going to show up, you still made it. It's like, oh, we never said he was going to show up. You heavily implied it. By the fact you had him involved in his heel turn to begin with. And that, to me, was what really started Cena's heel run on a bad note. The Rock. The Rock just... If The Rock was not going to be involved, he should not have been involved at all. But he had to make it about himself because he has to make everything about himself.
Yeah, and The Rock claims, oh, I only gave the idea. I didn't want to be a part of it after that. I guess let them roll. I'm like, don't. No, The Rock, I'm sorry, man. I love you in your movies. Congrats on the Golden Globe nod. I'm sure you deserved it. I haven't seen the movie yet, to be honest. Like, congrats on your Golden Globe nod. Great. Stop it. I get your chairman, your co-chairman on the TKO board. I get that. I really do. But you gotta quit doing this. Like
if you're gonna be involved, be involved.
Now, to be clear, I'm not 100% putting the whole blame on Cena's retirement tour on The Rock. There's a lot of people.
It's a big part. It's a big part.
It's a big j'accuse all over the place. But, like, he didn't help things to begin with.
No.
Flat out. Like,
start on a bad note.
It had to be The Rock. See, for us, even though if you were saying it wasn't The Rock, it had to be The Rock. Nobody gave a fuck about Travis Scott. At all. Like, nobody at all gave a fuck about this rapper that, like, people have heard. And I hate that song. That song
still haunts your nightmares, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't. Honestly, luckily it doesn't. It's been numbed away by, like, whatever the fuck Okada's theme now is in AEW. But, like...
It's a new nightmare.
Yeah, it's a new nightmare. But no. It had to be The Rock. It had to be... nobody else. It had to be The Rock. You could... There's... I've always said this before with bad matches I've watched, and I'll say it again here. when I can book a better match, you don't fucked up, Aaron. Like, flat out.
And think about it, like comparing that to the previous main event, the night one's main event, when you had that excellent swerve of Paul Heyman screwing both Punk and Roman to side with Seth.
That
That
was great.
that was well done. That even though I predicted it, which I'll
Yeah,
still brag about that. Um, that was well done. And then night two, you're setting up our expectations, and like you said, slow prodding match, prodding, whatever match. Travis Scott taking a fortnight to get to the ring, and the most generic heel possible way to win ever. Low blow, belt to the face, LOL.
And what's sad too, that's your main event of night 2. That is the main event.
Not just the main event night 2. John Cena's last WrestleMania. Yeah. Last WrestleMania main event. Last WrestleMania in general.
Yeah. So
and that's how you want to end it.
I would ask what your thoughts were about this match. I'm pretty sure we both agree it was dog shit. The finish could have been done better. The match overall could have been done a lot better, especially for what we got later in his retirement tour.
Yeah, because we know they could do better.
Yeah, because we saw it SummerSlam.
Yeah, like I said, the rematch, which we'll get to that, which I have thoughts about the lead up to that match as well. Which match, so we'll get to it.
Yeah, but yeah, it was not a great second of the big four for Mr. John Cena.
And I think that played the fact that ending played a big part in us saying, "No, we're not going back next year." So,
well, aside from TKO ramping up the prices, like we're all fucking Scrooge McDuck. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had the Raw after WrestleMania. He did his shtick there. Got RKO'd by Randy. Set up Backlash in St. Louis. That was in St. Louis this year, of course. Randy's neck of the woods. But it was well done. It really was very well done.
Yeah, Backlash was a lot better.
Yeah. Unfortunately, because during, the build-up, R-Truth can't get involved in Cena's business and stuff like that. Getting involved, because, there was the whole, like, John Cena's R-Truth's childhood hero. And we all laughed about it. We enjoyed it, because it's R-Truth. He understands his place in the company. He's still having a good time doing what he does best. He still makes more than any of us doing this goofy ass shit, so like we can't complain. So like, and then we got the match of Backlash, which like I said was good. Like it was a well done match. Unfortunately, R-Truth caught a distraction. Sorry, R-Truth distracted Orton long enough for Cena to pick up the win, and then Truth would get AA'd on the post show through the table by John Cena, which I thought was very well done. Oh god, then we have to talk about Saturday night's main event. Was it 39?
Yeah.
Was it Truth Cena?
It was whatever match.
What was this?
Man, I have to really kind of talk about that as a combination. The whole R-Truth segment of this retirement tour.
Okay.
Was so underwhelming, and it could have been some of the best parts of it. And the reason why it was so parts it was is because they, as we found out later, they never intended R-Truth to be anything to be a big part of this because they fired him. They I guess you can still dispute to this day whether it was a work or not. They fired him. No, they were going to fire him, and then the fans campaigned to get R-Truth back. But Cena Truth should have been R-Truth should have been used a lot more than he was to really start transitioning Cena back to a face more naturally.
Yeah.
Because R-Truth could have been the angel on the shoulder. He could have been his Jiminy Cricket, let his conscience be his guide, to be the guy to wake John Cena up to realize he's being a dick. Instead, you had Cena just straight up beat him. They fired him. Then they bring him back. I guess we'll talk about that in a second for Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
I guess we'll transfer that to Money in the Bank. They bring him back and do nothing with it. They did absolutely nothing with R-Truth's character. They set him up like, oh, I'm Ron Killings now. I'm more serious. Then they kind of transition to...
Hold off on that, because we'll get to that when we talk about Money in the Bank.
But yeah, the R-Truth segment should have been better, but it wasn't better because they didn't actually properly plan it out, which is becoming a running theme of this retirement tour.
Yeah. Yeah. Overall, I think the Backlash match was well done. The R-Truth stuff was heavily fumbled. They could have really used that considering they built up R-Truth this entire time as John Cena's biggest fan. And then we get a match we want between the two, but it's on it's on Saturday's main event. And remember, this is before the Peacock deal, whereas Peacock, so this was TV time.
Yeah, it was 4 minutes and 25 seconds.
And it was a nothing match. And we know R-Truth can still go.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that man is in his 50s, and, like, that man can still go. Wait, that is... Yeah, R-Truth's in his 50s, right?
Yes, he is 53.
Yeah. So, like, I don't know, man. This, like, that was fumbled harshly. Then originally, when we're getting to build up Money in the Bank, it was supposed to be John Cena and Travis Scott versus Cody and
Jey Uso.
Mm-hmm. But Travis Scott, being Travis Scott, didn't work out.
Because he was a bitch.
Then we got Logan Paul instead in his place.
Which made a lot better match.
Yeah, Money in the Bank match was well done. Like, I can't stress that enough. And then the biggest surprise we would get, and like that now you continue on your bitching and moaning about that, was R-Truth returning, which was the biggest pop of the night, if we were being honest. And like,
they did a good job of keeping it hidden that he was there.
Yeah,
which led to tons of conspiracy theories about whether or not his firing was a work or not. Which I don't know if we ever got a straight answer really about that. And so R-Truth's back. He's more serious. He's calling himself Ron Killings. Like, oh, this could be interesting. We could have R-Truth being serious and trying to wake Cena up. And we'll probably get a rematch between R-Truth and Cena.
Nope.
And nope. It's just completely forgotten about. R-Truth starts a random feud with Aleister Black, which transitioned to an actual feud between Aleister Black and Damian Priest, which just finally ended. That feud finally ended. Jesus. Yeah. That feud's been going on forever. And R-Truth is missing in action.
Yeah, one thing we
where is he at?
Yeah, one thing we forgot to bring up because it was brought up on the Raw after Mania was how many dates Cena had left. So like he had quite a few dates left by this point. Yeah, like we didn't realize at the time, but that wasn't a lot of dates he had left. Like. And we were in like late April when you showed how many dates he had left, and it was at the time. He has no time. Looking back at it now, man, that dude needed more dates. Like even if it's for like this just appearances, he needed more dates
to properly build things up.
Yeah.
We should have gotten another match with him and R-Truth, and that could have. And I think it's to go back to Backlash a little bit. That was kind of like the first inklings of Cena regretting turning heel because you saw his weird reaction after the match where he was like looking at the crowd.
I think that was him kayfabing it up to hint like he's kind of regretting what he did.
Yeah, and then they really could have transitioned more with another match with R-Truth, but they didn't do it. Mm-hmm. We got the match of Money in the Bank where Cody and Jay beat Cena and Paul, which we'll talk about Logan Paul later on. Like. Weirdly enough, not weirdly enough, because he is good. Logan Paul is one of the MVPs of this retirement tour. Like, he really was. Like, he had 3 matches overall with Cena. And he did good in all 3 of them.
Yeah, exactly.
And this leads us to a Night of Champions.
No King of the Ring. Was it King of the Ring or Night of Champions?
No, it was Night of Champions. They had King of the Ring during the Night of Champions.
Okay, so we're off to Saudi for a Night of Champions. So so ultimately Cody would win the King of the Ring tournament and get his title rematch at SummerSlam 2025.
But before that, Cena had a little CM Punk problem to deal with.
Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry about that. At Night of Champions, Punk took on Cena for the world title.
And the build up to this match was well done.
This was good.
Yes.
If it was consistent, if it was fucking consistent throughout the rest, if it was like this, couple 2 to 3 weeks of build up to the pay-per-view match. They have the match. It is what it is. Moving on. Rinse, repeat. I think we'd be complaining a little bit less, if I'm being honest. We would definitely be complaining a little bit less. Like, this, no doubt in my mind about that.
Yeah, we had one of the, because in this build up we had one of the best segments of the tour where Punk came out dressed as the Doctor of Thugonomics.
Yeah.
And did his rap on Cena. And then Cena did a reverse pipe bomb. He did his own pipe bomb on CM Punk, mirroring their feud from 2011.
Yeah.
So we got really good segments out of that between Punk and Cena, which is, it's no surprise these two are really good because John Cena referred to CM Punk as his wrestling soulmate. Because these two just have really good chemistry. And it goes back all the way to Elimination Chamber because that chamber came down to Cena and Punk, and a little kind of hinting that Cena was about to turn heel. Rollins, after he'd been eliminated, took Punk out, and John Cena took advantage of it. So Punk still already had some animosity for Cena from back then, so they played that into this as well. And then you had Punk calling him out to selling out to The Rock, which, again, they never did anything with that. But
Thanks, Rock.
But yeah, then we got the match with Punk and Cena, which, neither of them could go as much as they used to. So the match was okay. But it ultimately, he retained the title after interference from the Division. Rollins, Breakker, and Reed said the Division went to an interesting place by the end of the year. But that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, ultimately, Cena won against Punk. Cody won King of the Ring, which ultimately led to their ultimate rematch.
Let's talk about one of the best moments. Was Charles Robinson getting decked by Cena. Like, holy God, man. That man went back to his college football roots and just hit Charles Robinson right out of his fucking shoes, man. Just, good Lord. Poor Charles Robinson. Which later he would say in an interview he wanted to take it even worse, make it look even worse. But Cena's like, no, this is fine. This is fine.
So, but I do got to talk about this. The lead up to the rematch.
Mm-hmm.
This is another big fumble, in my opinion, because they decided before the rematch happened to turn Cena back to face. And I don't have an issue with that, but my issue is how they did it. How they did it was the most anticlimactic, rushed way I have ever seen. Because ultimately what happened was Cody insulted John Cena, called him a sellout, put him through a table, and apparently that was all it took for John Cena to realize he's being an asshole. And the next week he turned back to be a face. I feel like they should have done a bigger build to that. Have Cody Rhodes say more to, like, appealing to John Cena's character, saying, hey, is this who you really want to be? Mm-hmm. Bring up how the fact that they could have brought up how The Rock abandoned him after convincing him to turn heel. Like, where's The Rock? He didn't stand by you. Where's Travis Scott? He didn't stand by you. And then you could have had R-Truth involved in this, like trying to speak. That's why I figured you really get R-Truth involved in this, being the guy trying to seriously get to John Cena. And then maybe after finally putting him to that table, Cena realizes I'm being a jackass. I'm going to turn face again. And that's fine. But they didn't do that. They rushed the shit out of it. And this because they ultimately realized the heel run as a whole didn't work. Which Cena himself kind of admitted to this. And he ultimately said that the main reason was he did not have enough time to establish the heel character. He wasn't given enough time, not enough dates to make it work.
Yeah.
And that's true. But do you have any other thoughts about the build to this before we talk about the SummerSlam match itself?
Well, no, you hit a lot of good points. Man, this really sucks. I think there was I think for the most part, I thought the stuff in Night of Champions well done. I thought, because you have to also talk about the week before his face turn, where like it was like 2 weeks before, where like he was claiming, oh, I can't do this match. I have filming here and there and everywhere, and like I'll give you your match another time and stuff like that. And that's where Cody destroyed him, put him through a table, and announced that the match would be a street fight instead.
And apparently that was enough to turn him face. And
Which,
that was such bullshit.
which,
Absolute bullshit. That was enough.
yeah. To be clear, I'm not trying to defend
Yeah.
her out of nowhere because I still think that was bullshit. Just out of
Mm-hmm.
nowhere, he turns face. That's it. He's face again. I didn't even. You know what's funny? I didn't even watch that SmackDown. I didn't even watch that SmackDown. I just heard like, oh yeah, he's face again. I'm like, what? Like, no offense, but like, what? Seriously. I hate to quote Stone Cold Steve Austin right now, but what? Like, seriously, what the fuck just happened? Like, you couldn't have just like maybe started doing it after his match at King of the Ring. How like you had plenty of time after sorry, not King of the Ring,
Night of
Money
Champions.
Night of Champions. You had plenty of time to do that, but you wait till like the literal
Week
go
before.
home like well, not yeah the week before, basically the penultimate go home show to turn face, and that's it. He's
And
face again.
like I said, all they needed was a little bit more storytelling with Cody Rhodes. Archer would have been the perfect guy to be involved in this to really push him over the edge,
Yeah,
saying, "This is what you needed," to convince him, and they just rushed it. And it's just like, man, that's going to be one of the old overall themes that creative was not consistent. They didn't think things through, and they didn't plan out a lot of things.
yeah.
But ultimately,
It
it led
was
to
a
their match at SummerSlam, which was really fucking good.
yeah. Meltzer even gave it 5 stars, which is kind of a
Whatever that's
shocker.
worth. Whatever that's worth.
For what that's worth, yeah, Meltzer gave it 5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was very well done. Like there's a lot of clever spots. It was a lot more of what we were wanted from WrestleMania put here. I don't know if they were high as fuck come WrestleMania creatively, creative was or something like that. But it felt like they were gelling better here than they were at your bigger. No offense to SummerSlam, at your bigger of the biggest of the big four. You know
Yeah,
why
what
did
helped
go on?
I feel like what helped in this match is that Cena was face again. So you got full 100% Super Cena against 100% Super Cody, just clashing. And and ultimately, this was John Cena's passing of the torch match this year. Not really his retirement match. But we'll talk about that soon. This was the moment he genuinely passed the torch to the next top guy, face of the company, which is Cody Rhodes. And honestly, if this had been his last match, I think a lot of people would have been a lot more satisfied. But we did get some other good matches after this, so we'll talk about that. But this was definitely probably the highlight, I'd argue, in terms of matches of his retirement tour. Definitely one of them.
Oh yeah, definitely. It doesn't help that like they thought, oh, an exposition dump the day the SmackDown before about how like he realizes his mistakes over the past 5 months, and The Rock and Travis Scott abandoned him, and like, oh, now I'm a face because I realized like that's not how this works. Anybody who is anybody knows how to do a proper face turn. It's simple. You build it up. You don't just
Mm-hmm.
click a switch. It's not the fucking Krusty doll from that Treehouse of Horror episode, you know? You can't just click the switch. That's it. It doesn't work like that. You have to build it up. Like, I'm sorry to play the card in this one, but AEW with the Young Bucks right now, like they
Yeah, I say that.
slowly
Mhm.
turning them face. They were slowly turning them face this entire time, with them being called the broke bucks. Nobody giving a shit about them. Them realizing maybe money's not the answer to all of our problems. Ultimately, it being Jurassic combination Jurassic Express and KO Mania to eventually realize, they didn't need to do this. And guess
Yeah.
what? It happened at Full Year. We got a proper face turn by the Young Bucks, and it worked. That's an example of a good face turn. It's the best face
Mm-hmm.
turn in the world?
Yeah.
No. It all face turns
But it
have
is
its
a well done. I will give AEW credit on this. That was a well done face turn. It's exactly what it needed to be. You set the you build the story arcs. You had the proper people be the ones to try to wake them up from their selfishness. So when they did turn face, it felt natural. It felt real. Cena's face turn didn't feel real. It felt artificial. It felt rushed, and it was ultimately done because they ran out of time because they didn't properly pace this
mm.
out.
No, it does take, to me personally, it does take away from the SummerSlam match. It does. It honestly does. Like, I don't care how great I thought the match was, or who showed up after the match. Ugh. But
Yeah,
like,
I guess we gotta talk about that. Do you have
but
any thoughts
like,
about the match itself?
the match was great. Like, it delivered. It did what we wanted the WrestleMania 41 should have been. You know, that match should have been. It should have been this match. You could have had a solid heel Cena match. There was three matches before this, three Cena match for this match that showed a good heel Cena working in a match. Why wasn't that implemented in 41? Why? Why? Were we all fucking just too high on our CM Punks and our WrestleMania in Vegas's? Like, I
Well, let's
don't
not forget
get it.
these. Don't forget the excuse to a lot of people use saying, "Oh, well, he said he wants to ruin wrestling, so if he fucks up anything, it must be on purpose." It's like,
No, no.
yeah, no, that bullshit.
Intentionally fucking up
Ruin
is
wrestling.
immediately trying the stereotypical heel bullshit and it not working. Him
Hmm.
trying to by doing, and then he does something clever like a heel, for a heel, and then wins it. Not the bullshit we got at WrestleMania, and so now we're getting here a great face Cena match, and there's just that tiniest asterisk on it that says, "Oh yeah, he was like heel like 2 weeks ago, and now he's face." Wah ba 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 da ba. You know?
Yeah, and the fact that they advanced so quickly was, in my opinion, an admission of failure. That they didn't properly plan it out. It felt like they were booking on by the seat of their pants, which, from what it sounds like, it's exactly what they were doing.
Mm.
There was no proper plan. They just did whatever felt right week to week, and sometimes it worked, and sometimes it didn't. And ultimately, that was the end of that chapter.
Yeah.
So we get really the second, and then we get the second half of John Cena's retirement tour after
As
this.
Brock Lesnar's music hits.
Yeah.
So Brock Lesnar comes out, F5 Cena, leaves, slips on banana peel. No, that's later. But yeah, we wouldn't see Brock for a little while because his next opponent would actually be Logan Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Because our next match would be Cena versus Logan Paul, which was a very good match. It was Clash of Paris. Had, once again, good build up. Had good build up. Had a great promo between Cena and Logan Paul. Like, amazing stuff. Like, great stuff between those two. Great match. Yeah, this was the beginning of Cena doing the greatest hits thing. Like, this was around the time you started doing the greatest hits thing, where, like,
Mm-hmm.
started, like, borrowing moves from opponents he's faced in the past. So, I don't remember exactly for this match in particular. Did you remember any Noble stuff he did?
Oh, I forgot. That's but I had to go back and watch it. But there were some references, not as much as he would later do with Match of Styles, but he did make a number of references to past opponents.
Mm.
Let me see if they reference it here. Uh, where is it at? They don't really say, but yeah, that was the start of the greatest hits thing, and it helped with that. Like, and you know, people like to talk shit about Logan Paul, but I've never had a really major issue with him because I was not paying attention to him during his controversial days, his major controversial days.
Mm.
So I've always looked at him based on what he does in the ring. And the fact of the matter is, Logan Paul is good at what he does. He's a good
Yeah.
professional wrestler. He was one of the best performers during his retirement tour. He was ultimately in the ring with Cena 3 times. They had one match on SmackDown that I think was a no contest or something like that, or it never really got started, really. But ultimately, he got to be in the ring with Cena essentially 3 times.
Yeah.
Did a good job in all three of those instances. Gave Cena a fantastic match at Clash in Paris. And let's see where that goes to him now. Now he's a part of the Vision. Let's see what that goes for him.
Yeah.
I still do believe that sooner or later Logan Paul is going to be a world champion in WWE.
As long as he's not taking Mr. Beast, I'm fine with that. Next up, yeah. So Cena defeated Logan Paul. It was
Mm-hmm.
Cena's final appearance in Europe. Big deal. Great match. Then on September 5th, he would go on to challenge Sammy for the U.S. title. Because by this point, Sammy won the U.S. title off of Solo Sikoa. God, that Sikoa fucking. better. Soul Code is better now, but like, oh boy, it took a while to get there. So yeah, okay, so yeah, so yeah, he would do that. Of course, Lesnar would show up, do his shtick,
Ruined
and
that
then
match.
yeah, ruin that match. Eventually, it would lead to, I think we will agree, the worst match in Cena's retirement tour, which they so elegantly put on the YouTube channel to watch for free, because why? Which is Cena versus Lesnar at Wrestlepalooza, aka why ESPN, why?
hmm
This match was nothing. This match kind of was vaguely reminiscent of their like infamous SummerSlam match.
I feel like a lot of people were expecting more of this match than they should have, because I figured it was going to be exactly what it ended up being, which was essentially a recreation of their SummerSlam match, where Cena would do his best to fight Lesnar, but Lesnar would overpower him and win. And that's what
Mm.
happened. I know some people were expecting Cena to win. Don't know why, because Lesnar's obviously going to be around longer. So you do need to keep Lesnar credible as Cena's on his way out. But ultimately, that would just be one of the many things that ultimately led to this pay per view being essentially a dud. And I
Yeah,
think their plans of making Wrestlepalooza one of their future major shows is probably dead in the water after that. I would
yeah,
not be surprised if there's not a Wrestlepalooza next year.
definitely. So, we would then,
But it got better.
yeah, this is where the build up kind of started dwindling.
Yeah, because
Because
Cena was running out of appearances.
Cena was running out appearances because once again, this is where we start realizing I don't think he has enough dates to really make it to the finish line with with the full like 10 out of 10 presence. Of course, he had his match at Crown Jewel Perf against AJ Styles,
Which was fantastic.
which was a fantastic match, but it was the start of what we started to notice, which is this didn't get a lot of build up. Like it got some vignettes. It got like why this match is important to both sides. It didn't really have any build up to it.
It
It's
had
just
no build up. Like they set it up on social media.
yeah, they asked for a match. Triple H gave it to them. Not playing at all, guys. Ooh. Um, and then we got this amazing. We still got an amazing match. The Crown Jewel match was amazing on so many different separate things. First off, John Cena broke some rules, so you can get Styles' unique intro for him, which I thought was great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, apparently he apologized when he went to the back. But I'm like, there's nothing to fucking apologize for. What are
Yeah,
they gonna do?
they also
What are they
yeah,
gonna do? Fire
fire
you?
you. Yeah,
Like,
and last time coming out this match was ultimately about as much of a tribute to AJ Styles' career as it was to John Cena's. Because AJ Styles came out wearing the blue and white trunks that he wore in TNA during their first episode on Spike TV.
mhm,
They both, like you said, Cena's tribute to AJ Styles included references to his time in TNA and the Bullet Club.
yeah.
Uh, they both did matches. There were references to past opponents. Cena would ultimately do the Miz's skull crushing finale, Bruce's accolade, Chris Jericho's walls of Jericho, Bray Wyatt's sister Abigail, Kane's choke slam, and Randy Orton's hanging middle rope DDT and RKO.
Oh, we
And
didn't. We sorry to interrupt. We didn't bring that up for during his U.S. title match against Sami Zayn. He did Edge's spear, but they didn't acknowledge it.
yeah, I think they tried to say it was a reference to Roman Reigns, but it wasn't. It was a reference to Edge, obviously. AJ Styles would do Christopher Daniels' Angel's Wings, Frank Kazarian's Fade to Black, Samoa Joe's Coquina Clutch, Stain's Scorpion Death Drop, Shawn Michaels' Sweet Chin Music. I feel like at one point, didn't he do Kurt Angle's Angle Slam? Was that a different match?
I think that was
I
a
can't,
different match.
but it's not clues. But ultimately, in the end, Cena countered crossbar, hit the Undertaker's Tombstone Piledriver, followed by an AA, and scored his 100th pay per view win,
Yep.
which is ultimately behind the Undertaker of all time.
Yeah. You know what sucks too? I realize this because they announced when season 2 of their Unreal show premieres, and it's like mid to late January.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna be coming right back probably updating like getting new facts about some of the Cena stuff that happened because it's supposed to start sometime just before like R-Truth's firing and like lead into like Cena's final match apparently somewhere near
Mm.
that. So like it's gonna be interesting to say the least.
Yeah, we'll get their official versions of events of what happened.
Yeah, but it was a solid crown jewel match.
It was very good.
It was
Arguably, Inches of is one of the best crown jewel, probably the best crown jewel pay per view, and it was the one that was not in Saudi.
yeah, go figure. But also like it's hard to say what the weakest match of their rivalry was because this was their fourth apparently. I thought it was their third. No, it was their fourth. Because there was their first one, which was the was that the Rumble one? No, that was it was Rumble. It was Rumble, SummerSlam. What was the third one? I think the third one was on like a SmackDown or something.
Let me double.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because I remember them saying four, and I never remembered where the third match was.
you John Cena. There we go. Because yeah, AJ showed up. Started in May. They they wrestled at Money in the Bank
Mm.
2016, with Styles won. Then at Battleground, the club defeated Cena, Enzo, and Cass in a six-man tag. This then the SummerSlam 2016, Styles beat Cena.
Okay.
So then I remember when their other matches were.
Mm.
That was their initial feud.
All
Like
right.
resumes. Okay, here it is. Season resumes feud with Cena leading up to the Royal Rumble 2017, where Cena beat Styles.
Okay. So this was their fourth. Okay. Um. But yeah, it
So
was.
ultimately, it was Styles 2, Cena 2.
Yeah. Well, ultimately, hell of a good match. Still a hell
Mm-hmm.
of a good match. So next was the other big news. This was reported on around this time. There was a report because people were wondering who Cena's final opponent was going to be. Because at this point, they were going to make it Boston as the Saturday's main event location for 42 because it
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. Massachusetts, home state for Cena. What a way to go!
Man, hindsight, they probably made the right decision not having it in Boston.
Hindsight's 2020. But let's talk about at the time
Yeah.
because at the time we were mad because they switched it. It was going. They were gonna have his final Raw appearance be. No wait. Was his final Raw appearance the Boston show or was that the MSG show?
No, that was I think that was the MSG show. Because his final Raw, he teamed up with Mysterio and Sheamus. So yeah, he
Okay.
showed up. November 10th. He showed up in Boston. So yeah, it had to be after that. Yeah, so Boston came first, then it was MSG.
Yeah, it was the last appearance. Yeah, they switched it around, ultimately having the his final match set in Washington D.C.
Because
Which
Washington DC paid more.
that's what basically boiled down to. But at the time, the winner was supposed to be Walter, which we rolled our eyes at.
And I still kind of do it. Even though
Yeah.
I understand why. But we'll get to that in a second.
Now let's think back. Like
The biggest issue was it leaked way too soon to
yeah,
that was their plan. So when they actually had the tournament and he won, it was like, yeah, we knew that. What was the point of the tournament?
yeah.
But
Which brings us to Saturday's main event 41, where it was announced the last time is now tournament,
yeah,
where superstars of Cena's past would basically be competing in a tournament to ultimately decide who would be facing him at Saturday's main event 42.
mm-hmm.
So the opponents were very well done. I think there was a nice
Mm-hmm.
selection. I
Yeah,
there there was a couple here and there I would have loved to add it, but it was a nice selection. Like The only real wild card was LA Knight, because LA Knight has not actually taken on Cena in a one-on-one match.
Should have. Here's ultimately all the choices, all the people who competed. We had Jey Uso, The Miz, Damian Priest, Rusev, Sheamus, Shinsuke Nakamura, LA Knight, Penta, Finn Balor, Solo Sikoa, Javon Evans, Gunther, Carmella Hayes, Bronson Reed, and two special appearances by Zack Ryder and Dolph Ziggler.
Yep, and that was a solid selection. Yeah, few newer faces in there, but that's the whole point, is like getting younger talent over. And let's be honest, Walter did make Carmelo Hayes and Javon Evans look like stars in his respective matches. No doubt in my mind about that. And that's a discussion we'll have another time. But I think Walter did good throughout the tournament.
Match with Solo wasn't terrible either.
Yeah, the match still was whatever. But then we got to the final two, and I think this, in my opinion, this is where they messed up.
Yeah.
I mean this in the nicest way possible. I don't think LA Knight should have made the finals.
Yeah, if they were going to have him lose, he shouldn't have made the finals.
He should not have made the finals, because everybody, I think a majority of people who weren't reading the rumored reports, was thinking it's going to be LA Knight, because it made. We're going to get
the most sense.
We're going to get to this when we talk about his final match, but it made the most sense at the time. It's somebody he hasn't taken on yet. It's somebody who can be over as fuck, just as big as he is. It would be such an honor and accolade for LA Knight to have that. You could have him give his condolences on the Raw after his final match. It's so perfect. It was beautifully set up. Easy. Dart on the board. That's not exactly what happened. So, this tournament overall, before we get into it, this tournament overall was very well done. While we still, to this day, even after his final match, definitely disagree with his choice, the choice of the outcome of the tournament. I think it was still a well-done tournament at all. Got a couple surprises, got a couple of fewer younger talent over, and ultimately, I think it was success for the most part. Any of our thoughts on the last time it's now a tournament?
I mean, the tournament itself was well done. Like you said, we could dispute about the outcome of it. I do think LA Knight should have won. If not LA Knight, it should have been another up and coming face like a Joe Hendry. It should have been somebody. I think it really should have been. It should have been a face. I think Cena's last opponent should have been a face to pass another torch to. He already passed torch actually to Cody Rhodes. But we'll get to why the whole thing was good and bad eventually. But we really got to talk about Cena's last few matches before this.
Yeah. So of course, on the MSG show. Was it the MSG show? No, it was the Boston show.
Yeah.
He did win the IC title from Dominic Mysterio.
Which was a nice moment.
Which was a nice moment. Letting Cena get at least one more accolade, which was Grand Slam.
Yeah, it became Triple Crown and Grand Slam.
Triple Crown and Grand Slam. And he wouldn't hold it for long. So yeah, we would have one more appearance on the following Raw. Where Dom would challenge him to a rematch at Survivor Series.
And we would get a 6-man tag with John Cena would team up with Rey Mysterio and Sheamus. So they both got to be part of the retirement tour where they beat Judgment Day's Dominic, Finn Balor, and JD McDonough.
Yeah. And then, of course, Survivor Series would come. And the match was good. I think their Raw match for the IC title was done a little bit better. But I still thought it was good. I didn't mind the fact it took all of Judgment Day, all Judgment Club, including a returning Liv Morgan to ultimately
who mocked his heel turn from Elimination Chamber,
and even Cena even admitted that she did a better job than he did.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good match. Yeah, I think you and me agreed at the time, even now, it would have been cool if the IC title was up for grabs, if in his final match.
Yeah, but also it would just mean Gunther would be IC champion again. Would that really do anything for him right now?
Yeah.
It could have done something for LA Knight or Joe Hendry, but not really for Gunther.
Yeah.
But man, my issue is that they should have given the IC title sooner, and then his reign wouldn't have just been 19 days.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that Cena just got overwhelmed by an army. It was like, where's Super Cena? This is the same Cena who'd beat all of Nexus by himself and all that BS but apparently he can't beat Judgment Day. Uh, and yeah, it was just a reason. At least we could say, yeah, he got the IC title, at least for as low as he did. He wanted to put Dominic Mysterio over. He did in Dominic's hometown, San Diego. And it was what it was. But my issue is it mean he was going into his final match with a loss, which kind of hurt his momentum a bit. But yeah, do you have your thoughts about Survivor Series before we get to the final match itself?
No, I said good match. I did like the fact it took like an entire fucking massive stable to cost him the IC title. So
Yeah.
I thought that part was well done and well booked for the most part. What wasn't well done and well booked is what we're gonna finally lead to, which is his final match, which was not booked well. It was not booked well at all. The only talking head we got was Walter.
Yeah,
Still being
because
Walter.
Cena ran out of dates, and so there was no chance for him to have a promo with leading up to it.
I mean, he would make a vignette appearance at NXT, but that's really it. After that,
Yeah,
it
where
was
he
just
picked Iron Survivor competitors.
yeah. Oh, did you hear about that? Who
Yeah,
now will take on? Now it's Leon Slater, which I'm like, wow, this is like the Cowboys right now. They went from a 9% chance to a 1% chance he's leaving that title. Like fucking hell.
so as Darkseid gonna screw there, and then we get, I don't know.
At this point, I don't know.
Yeah, Obafemi's holding it to at least Vengeance Day. I think he's gonna face Joe Hendry. That's my guess.
But we
They could have Hold Always Stand delivered do it over WrestleMania weekend,
but
but
we
I don't
could
see any other reason. I don't see any other reason to keep Oba in NXT.
but we can only not talk about for long. And we already talked about it, so I don't think it's going to be as long as all the other stuff we talked about.
Yeah, because we just did our Silence Man. We talked about the match itself,
Yeah,
which the match itself between Cena and Gunther was good. I thought
yeah.
it was well done. The psychology was there. Then you get to the controversial decision though at the end. Was it right for John Cena to tap?
Okay. Before we get into that, I do want to talk about the show itself as a whole
Yeah.
because don't forget in interviews leading up to that, Cena was talking about how like this isn't going to be just a John Cena like fan fest of a final pay per view for me, like final event TV special for me. I want this to be about putting over the younger talent. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what we got. We did get a few matches where they put spotlight on younger NXT talent, which was
Yep.
really well done. I think the nods throughout the night to John Cena, the farewells, the heartbreaks, the tears. Punk clearly been crying way before he was given. He gave his farewell message. Like fucking Elijah showed up, sat right next to Kevin Owens, and didn't say a fucking thing.
Shows how important Cena's last match where they buried the hatchet.
Yeah,
But
like
yeah, like, they did a good job.
the
Like,
build up was well done, very well done. Now we can talk about the match.
yeah, Obafemi looked good in his match with Cody Rhodes, which also was an no contest, but he still looked good. Sol Rucka beat Bailey, which Bailey's I didn't realize last where Bailey's gear was inspired by Cena's original gear when he debuted against Kurt Angle.
Mhm.
Javon Evans, Leon Slater looked really good against Styles and Dragon Lee. Even though that match was short, it was still fun. And Joe Hendry got to look good and same with R-Truth to the Miz. And then we get to the match itself, Gunther Cena, and like I said, we get to the ending, which they decide to
Okay,
Cena
you keep rushing to the ending. Let's. I know we've
because
already talked.
we already talked about the match on Science main event.
I thought it was a solid match overall. I think it was good. People are blowing out of proportion that it was a bad match or it's an
It was not a
underwhelming
bad
match.
match. It was not a bad match.
The finish. I still stand by what I said in our Saturday Night's Main Event post show thoughts. I still thought it was a good finish. I think, like, for the man who's done it all, for the man who's accomplished everything, knowing full well, and they spent a good 5 minutes on that fucking chokehold in the end. And they had Cena try everything he could think of. He knew he wasn't getting out of it. He knew, like, I would have made him, I would have made him pass out before anybody gets on my ass. Yes, I would have preferred if he passed out instead. But the whole story going into this, whether we like the story or not, was that Cena had not tapped out in like fucking forever.
Since before he became this version of John Cena. It says back when he was still Doctor Thugonomics, like even before that, he had only tapped out 4 times prior. All of them were 2004 and before. Like he only tapped out to Chris Jericho once,
Mm.
Chris Benoit once, and Kurt Angle twice. So I think the second time was I think it was No Way Out 2004. So about over 21 years.
Yeah. So I think it was well done. We'll get more into like the bad stuff around it, but I still thought it was well done. I thought I thought the finish was well done because cause he even posted the Obi-Wan Kenobi photo. It
Mm-hmm.
was him accepting his fate. He knew he was gonna get out of this. We knew what he's been saying before about letting the younger talent over, and that's what he did. Like,
Mm-hmm.
does it suck? Yes. Should have been like somebody else? Yeah, sure. No, I'm not gonna disagree with you on that. I'll probably place bets on who it should have been with you, predictions or theories about who it should have been. But for what it was a good retirement match. I thought it was a fine finish. We could have done it differently, but I thought it was well done. Like, did you have any thoughts?
You could go back and forth to whether he should have tapped or passed out. But ultimately, it's not like he tapped out in pain. It's not like he truly gave up from being afraid of being in pain. No, he tapped out because he realized he was ready to let go.
Mm-hmm.
He was ready to let go. He knew he couldn't get out of it. He's like, I'm going to give this to Gunther and I'm done. His time was up. Gunther's time is now. And that's the way he wanted to go out. My big thing that got me really pissed was how the crowd reacted afterward.
Yeah, that
Because the
crowd.
crowd, I'm gonna say this to this. I'm not gonna say DC crowd because I'm sure that was a very mixed crowd, like a Mania type crowd.
Mm,
I'm sure a lot of people came from everywhere to come see John Cena's last match. So I can't say it was DC. Um, that crowd was incredibly selfish. I thought their reaction was incredibly selfish. They made it about themselves. It wasn't about Cena at that point. Them shitting on Triple H and making the entire thing about themselves was completely immature. And I can't say it's the worst crowd I've ever seen. I've seen crowds react that way before, but them breaking kayfabe and just yelling at Triple H over the results of the match was not respectful to John Cena. John Cena had to outright yell to the crowd, "It was my decision." Uh, and Cena had to get control. It shows how a master craftsman John Cena is at crowd control. He had to get control of the crowd because Cody and Punk were trying to pay tribute to him by putting their belts on him, similar to how when Batista and Cena did the same thing for Hulk Hogan back in 2005.
yeah.
And Cena took the belts and did the ring, trying to get the crowd back on his side to the point where Triple H couldn't even get in the ring. You could tell like Triple H was supposed to get in the ring to congratulate Cena, and he couldn't even do that. So the crowd hijacking Cena's final moments, I thought was incredibly disrespectful.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I don't know what they were expecting. John Cena was not going to win his last match. His entire thing was about putting people over. He was going to lose. Now I say, oh, they're just bad how he lost. Doesn't really matter. Ultimately, in the end, if that's the way Cena wanted to go out. Uh, and even if you were mad about it, you can be mad about it, but let Cena have his moment, and then go complain on the internet. Then go yell at Triple H on Raw or something like that.
Yeah, the crowd was not great. They even didn't like physically, but like verbally harass Walter outside the arena too.
Like it's his fault.
Like that wasn't right, you know.
Like, and then shitting on Triple H when you act like John Cena didn't have any input at all in the decision. When Cena straight up says he did, and then not even letting Cena enjoy his final moments with his peers, just cursing and yelling at Triple H while John Cena is trying to enjoy his final moments was so. And the fact they all did it by their claiming for Cena, it wasn't for Cena. It was for you. It was for the selfishness of that crowd who wanted things one way and they didn't get it, and they decided to throw a tantrum like a child.
Yeah,
And
that's
that may sound harsh, but I think it's reality. I was pissed because I thought it was disrespectful to John Cena.
Definitely. Now we gotta talk about a couple more things because we are now at the end. Cena is now an ambassador for WWE going forward. He
Mm-hmm.
signed a 5-year deal with them, so it's
Mm-hmm.
not the last we will see of John Cena in any form of WWE programming. So like, it's just he's retired from in ring
Yeah. Yeah,
competition.
he'll just make an appearance now and then.
He'll make appearances now and then. Surprised, still generally surprised, like he wasn't announced to be inducted into next year's Hall of Fame.
I kind of wonder if they decided not to do that because of the crowd's hostility. I don't know if that would have calmed the crowd down because when Triple H pointed Cena to the screen, it was essentially the same opening, the same highlight reel they had already shown before his match. So I
Mm.
thought it was going to lead to, like you said, a Hall of Fame announcement, but it didn't. So I was like, okay, what was kind of don't see the point of that? And people were mad also that John Cena didn't give a speech. And my reasoning that he didn't do that is because he's gonna be inducted to the Hall of Fame. And that's where he's gonna give a speech.
Yeah. So now is the question Nick has been dying to talk about, and that is, regardless of the quality or you've enjoyed or hated about the retirement tour, who's to blame for what we got this year for the retirement tour?
Who's to blame? Well, as a whole, is creative. Whether you put that on Triple H or The Rock or whoever was on the creative team, the ultimate blame goes into a lack of foresight and a lack of consistent planning.
Mm-hmm.
They did so much of this by the seat of their pants, which they absolutely. If you're going to take anything as carefully as possible, if you're going to plan something as carefully as possible, it should be something like John Cena's retirement tour. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we know these people are capable of planning out long periods of time ahead of time
Yeah.
because they started planning WrestleMania months and months in advance. So we know they're perfectly capable of telling like year-long storytelling. But them like shotgunning the heel turn and then not thinking ahead about how they were going to do what they're going to do with the fallout of that, and then ultimately not, and then kind of hot shine the return to being a face. Them underutilizing R-Truth, them not having the foresight of seeing that the number of dates they prepare were not enough.
Mm-hmm.
That especially near the end, where Cena didn't have any time to build up, like the match with Styles or the match with Gunther. Like he got at least a little bit of build up with Dominic, which is why that worked as well as it did.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a complete lack of foresight by the creative team. Now, if
So
they had really thought this out from the beginning, like decided to do the heel turn ahead of time and really thought it out how to make it work, it could have worked, but it didn't because they didn't. And one thing I thought they relied way too heavily on was like big surprise moments that didn't ultimately lead to anything.
mm-hmm.
Like for example, uh, Elimination Chamber, he turns heel. Oh my god, he turns heel to Rocket Travis Scott, and then it leads nowhere. Then you had where we go back to, I had a few prepared here. Then you had R-Truth returns Money in the Bank and leads to nowhere. Then you have Brock Lesnar shows up, takes out John Cena, and the match kind of sucks. It's like they relied so heavily on these big surprise moments and not great follow up afterwards.
You're right.
And that ultimately, like, it led to these big, exciting moments where it got us way up here, and then we were like, oh shit, that wasn't that great.
Yeah. I would say no. You're first off, you're right. I think creative is to primarily blame for this, but at the same time, what would have helped them would have been a few more dates. I'm not talking doubling or tripling the amount of dates he was given. I think
I,
adding like at least maybe minimum twice as many dates
well, I
would
would
have
still say
helped.
that's creative's fault because Cena wanted to do 200 plus dates, and they said no, we only need you for this amount. And he's like, oh, okay. So again, I still put that on
Yeah,
creative.
yeah. I think lack of giving him enough dates is to blame because, like I said, I think The Rock is to blame for the whole first half. I
Oh
think
yeah,
the heel turn thing, The Rock's idea for the heel turn thing, him not showing at WrestleMania, people think he showed at WrestleMania, instead we get fucking Travis Scott. That's all his fault. I think combination The Rock and Triple H and his creative cronies just didn't seem to like stick the landing for what people wanted. Would have helped if Walter was it was a different maybe, but you know what would have helped as well if there was at least 3 weeks of build up between Walter and John Cena.
To
You
make us
know,
actually care, you know.
to make us care, to make it show like he's not gonna give up on us when like ultimately he is. Once again, like the finish wasn't great, but it was done better than I was expecting it to. It wasn't just a simple "oh he's gonna pass out." No, it's him accepting his fate and passing the torch. That's why I think I love. You and me are in a minority of like really enjoying that match.
Mm-hmm.
So like,
And I still do agree it was a mistake for John Cena's final opponent to be a heel.
mm-hmm.
I don't think that was smart because Cena losing to another face, especially a popular face, say like a LA Knight, the crowd would have been much more okay with because they would have liked the other guy. They would have known Cena's passing the torch, and they would have been more receptive. Them putting a absolute hated heel like Gunther in there and have him absolutely torturing Cena, being disrespectful to Cena the whole match, and ultimately having Cena to give up to him. That's what made a lot of people angry, and I think that's what soured a lot of people. Because when you think about like past wrestlers' retirement match, Ric Flair, I know it ended up being his real retirement match, but he lost to Shawn Michaels. Somebody people respected. It was well done. Shawn Michaels lost to The Undertaker, not counting for his later Crown Jewel match. He lost to The Undertaker, again, somebody respected. This is him losing to a heel who a lot of people didn't like. A lot of people may respect Gunther for his ability, but he also wasn't like a fellow legend. They like would compare like Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels, and then Shawn Michaels to Undertaker.
Mm-hmm.
This was a very different situation where not only was it not a fellow legend, it was also a heel. If it had been someone like LA Knight, well, LA Knight may not be considered a legend, he's still something who's very popular and people want to see something out of. And they would have been okay with it because they could have seen it as like, oh, they're finally pushing him. They're finally giving him something. Um, and hell, if it had been like another legend like Randy Orton or CM Punk or somebody like that, people probably would have been more okay with it too. I just feel like the timing was wrong, and ultimately the choice was wrong because of the fact Gunther was a heel.
Yeah. I think if the
Is a
build
heel.
up, I think if the build up was better, and the build up was better after the heel turn and the WrestleMania match. I think if the build up was better, and they did something of R-Truth going forward, I think we would be
Oh yeah,
talking a bit more positively about the creative's
yeah.
direction. But unfortunately, their
That's
decision to for a lack of date for like a low number of dates because they didn't want to pay additional insurance on Cena for like anything he's film wise he's a part of, like them being chicken shit not to do that. Then on top of that, you have an amazing guy in Cena who's willing to go the extra mile, and you're just not giving him the right time of day. Like with
heck.
Walter,
I bet Cena would have been willing to fork over some cash to pay it.
with Styles, that could have been a great match. Still could have been done better. Walter, great match, good match. Still could have been built up better.
Mm,
Like I don't know what happened really, but if it comes down to lack of dates, that's not Cena's fault. That's
no,
the fault of creative. Like that's
like
the
we
fault
know
of
Cena wanted to do
TKO.
more.
Yeah, that's the fault of TKO for
Mm,
not wanting to take that risk. Like you could have worked around his schedule. I've heard in multiple interviews now he was willing to work around his schedule because he knew by his point in his Hollywood career, he knew how it would work for like production scheduling and pre-production
mm.
scheduling for
That's why he
films he
picked
was
this
part of.
year.
And that's why he picked this year because he had very limited like production dates. A lot of it was just promoting stuff he's already filmed, which you could have
Mm.
easily worked around. I think creative, combination of creative, The Rock, and not giving him a lack of dates is what really is to blame here overall. Like, I think if you still use all the players we got this entire year for his
Mm-hmm.
retirement tour, I still think you could have told a hell of a story.
Oh, the
Like,
players were all perfectly chosen.
yeah, I think that's what's ultimately to blame. But here's the question I think I've been wondering your response to because I told you I would have a couple questions maybe at least
Mm.
one or two questions where I would have you really think about it. Do you think Vince would have booked this retirement tour better?
That is interesting. I was just thinking that exact same thing.
Yeah.
I was literally just thinking that same thing. Would Vince have booked it better? I think in some ways, yes. In some ways, yes, because I feel like Vince McMahon had a whole lot of respect for John Cena and would have paid any amount to get the best that we could have gotten.
Mm.
Would he have booked it exactly the same? I don't know.
Oh no,
I
no.
feel like Vince, no, because Vince is still was late stage. Vince was still late stage Vince.
Mm.
Would he? I don't know if he would have turned Cena heel. I don't think Vince McMahon would have turned Cena heel. I think he
No.
probably. I think he would not have been for that. I think he would have decided Cena should stay a face to the end. Whether that would have been the right decision or not, it's hard to tell. Because I feel like the heel turn. Well, I just feel like doing the heel turn in the retirement tour ultimately was a mistake because, like Cena said, you need time to build that up. Like he at least a year out to build that up. Like I would have technically kind of started Cena's run about 6 months before, like maybe right after Money in the Bank, and then maybe turn him heel soon after that, and then build him up like almost a full 12 months to WrestleMania as a heel to really get it to work. But they only gave him, let's see, February, March, April, May, June, like really 6.5 months to work with it, and they never fully committed to it. And then they ultimately dropped it without giving us a real payoff for making it feel natural. Like I talked about earlier before, they could have had Cody and R-Truth working together to pull Cena's soul back, And do I think Vince could have booked it better? In some ways, yes, I do think he would have. I think he would have given him more dates. He would have been more respectful to Cena's wishes. And I think he would have picked. I think he would have picked a different final opponent.
He would.
One, I do think Cena's final match would have been on a pay-per-view. I do not think it would have been a TV special. And I think Vince would have booked it WrestleMania to WrestleMania, not January to December. So Cena's last match would have been at WrestleMania.
I think Cena would have had more insight, more like decision making for him.
Yeah.
In interviews, like in the Chris Van Vliet interview, he brings up how he was the last to find out everything. Booking decisions, where they're going to go with his character, where they're going to go with his opponents. Like, I think Vince would have more involved.
Oh, and yeah, I think absolutely.
With the creative decisions, where he was going to go. But ultimately, I still think it would have been Vince's final call about who his final opponent would be. Because I think his final opponent would probably have been Randy. It would have been Randy.
It would have been Randy, or it would have been another top face who Vince wanted to push.
Yeah, if it was Cody, like maybe.
That's why I think his final match would have been at WrestleMania, not Saturday's main event. It would have been from WrestleMania 41 to WrestleMania 42, not January 2025 to December 2025. If he did do 2025 December, there would have been an entire pay-per-view built around it. It would have been a huge stadium. It would not have just been Saturday's main event. I do think it would have been a bigger spectacle.
Yes, definitely. I'll answer the question as well. Do I think Vince would have booked it better? I think Vince would have John is his goat in his eyes. Like John Cena has even said how regardless of what you think of Vince McMahon right now, he owes that man everything, you know. He owes him everything he's had up to this point. So he would have been on board with whatever Vince would have come up with. John would have been on board with whatever Vince would have came up with. Would he turn heel? Would Vince have had him turn heel?
I don't think so.
I'm going to say no. Because like you said, I think face Cena this entire run would have worked fine. You could have had him face a couple heels here and there, but ultimately you're gonna have a lot of faces because a lot of his old rivals are all faces now or tweeners, and it would have worked out. God willing, knock on wood, I would have loved, if it wasn't for his injury, I would have loved one of Cena's final opponents being Kevin Owens. You
That
know,
would have been great. I think Drew McIntyre would have been a great final opponent, one of his final opponents, because Drew said he wished he had been one of those guys. And
I I would have loved to see him if he would have gone for it the heel turn. I think I'll say this. I think if he would have done heel turn Cena, I think he would have done the heel turn run better. I think he would have done it better.
I think he would have done the heel turn at Mania.
He was at Mania. That because Vince knows how like big WrestleMania is. He would have done it at Mania, but I think he would have booked it better. Would have been quality? No, it's still Vince we're talking about here. Like it would have been.
One, I don't think Travis Scott would have been involved, and
No,
two, if The Rock was going to be involved, Vince would have made damn sure Rock would have been involved.
exactly. So I think the answer is would Vince have booked it better? Probably.
In some ways,
Would
yes.
it have been overall better? Probably not.
It
Because this is still
depends,
Vince
yeah.
booking we're talking about. You know,
And some of the choices would have probably been different.
definitely he would have revived TLC just to have like Cena's final match be there. You know, like
Or
that
would have
kind
been
of
something.
yeah. He would have come up with a Great Balls of Fire size unique pay per view or
Some
something
kind of
like
pay
that.
per view.
Yeah, but I think it just depends. Like, I think given the situation, he would have booked it to what he believed should have been Cena's run. Not like what Triple H Creative doing, which was doing their own interpretation of what Cena's run should have been.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And not having him have Cena more of a say. Vince would have given Cena more of a say. It would have been like every single match or every single promo, but he would have had more say in, ultimately deciding, you know, what was going to ultimately happen to him by the end of this year, or in your theoretical case by next WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's a hard one. I think he would have booked it better in some aspects, but entirely, I think it still would have been a mixed bag. Um, Ultimately, I'm gonna have to. I know we only do this for our normal event shows, but I have to ask you for overall thoughts and a letter. Overall thoughts, letter grade, and your 3 favorite matches in his retirement tour.
Grade's gonna be hard. Um, 3 favorite matches. I think I could do that pretty easy. Him versus Cody at SummerSlam. Him versus AJ at Crown Jewel. And the third
Oh,
match.
him versus Paul at Clash in Paris.
Yeah, that's probably going to be my third match. I just want to make sure uh, I'm going through every match that happened. So yeah, I think that's right. So versus Cody SummerSlam, versus AJ Crown Jewel, versus Logan Paul Clash in Paris.
Okay, we both can agree. I think mine will be the same, so we can both agree on those.
I think that was his 3 best matches. Overall thoughts, it was a roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
It started interesting, created a little bit of mania, then got a little consistent, then started picking up against SummerSlam. And I feel like from SummerSlam onward, it was like you had like the dip at Wrestlepalooza, then it came back up at Crown Jewel. He put over Dominic, which I'm not the biggest Dominic fan, but I know a lot of people are. And then ultimately the ending. It was a very roller coaster year. So to give it a grade, I'm gonna give it a B minus.
B minus. Okay, B minus.
Oh, you know
Um,
what? I'm gonna give it a B. A B.
B.
I'll do that.
Ooh, you're not gonna like my grade.
B minus.
Overall, I thought.
B minus. No, B minus is fair. I'm B minus.
Overall, God damn it, let me.
I
Overall, it could have been so much better.
Oh yeah, I absolutely could.
Yeah, it could have been so much better if they were given more. If they gave him just enough dates to build up some of those feuds, and if we did the WrestleMania match a bit differently, I would probably grade this higher. But I would still keep things the same. If I still make Walter the final. Like looking back at, I would still make Walter the final. I would still do all of that. I think if you fix the WrestleMania stuff, if you fix the Summer of Cena, a couple of Summer of Cena stuff like the stuff for R-Truth, I think this could have been a higher grade for me overall. But unfortunately, and because I was there at WrestleMania live this year review, it dips it down hard. I don't think every single part of this year sucked for his retirement tour. There were positives. Him pointing over Jay at Royal Rumble. The stuff with R-Truth unintentionally working, but also he never did anything with it. The promo feuds he did have leading up to his matches were brilliant and very well done. But there were downsides. Not everybody agrees with Walter. Not everybody agrees with the finish. And I still don't think it should have been Walter, but I still think we got a good match out of it. I think the Wrestlepalooza match was the biggest stinker of them all. If we're being completely honest, say what you will about the WrestleMania 41 stuff, but fuck, that was something.
I'd say the match with R-Truth side of the main event was kind of the biggest stinker.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, definitely. But I didn't leave this year. I didn't leave this retirement tour completely disappointed. When he tapped, you saw my reaction. I saw your reaction. We're like, that's it. That's I had I choked up a little during his farewell video at the end of the Saturday's main event. But I left there going, you know what? It wasn't perfect, but I enjoyed my time with it. It wasn't the best. With that being said, I'm between two different grades. One lower than yours, and one about yours right now. Thinking back.
Could I give you more of my reasoning? Maybe that would help you out.
Okay, shoot.
Okay, so the reason I'm at B minus, because you and I kind of grade things differently. I grade from top down, while you kind of grade bottom up. I think you talked about that before. You kind of go from the middle, and I kind of go I started at A plus, and is there enough bad to bring it down? And that's kind of what I am. Was there was enough bad to bring it down from A plus to B minus, because there was still enough good to keep it from being average, which I consider C plus to be. I consider a C to be an average. It was an average run. I consider it to be a slightly above average, which is why I gave it a minus. Because you're right, we did have a lot of positives. I hope during this. Well, I ended up being more negative than I thought I was going to be during this, because I kind of went in this because I wanted to be fresh and honest as I possibly could. I didn't want to put too much deep a thought into it. But I did hope I was clear also in the positive of this, because he put Jey Uso over at Royal Rumble for however people feel how that ended up. The initial heel turn was cool. The feuds with Orton and Punk were well done. The feud with R-Truth, disappointing, could have gone, but ultimately we got some cool moments between them two. The stuff with Logan Paul was great. The rematch with Cody was really great. Brock Lesnar, it was there. I was more neutral about the Brock Lesnar stuff. The Crown Jewel stuff was really good. Neutral about Dominic Mysterio just because I'm not a big fan of his. And ultimately, in the end, he put over Gunther. So to me, that put it above average, which is why I gave it a B minus.
It sucks. It really sucks, because I have it between a couple grades right now, and you're right on a lot of points, but I'm sitting here and what's bogging it. You're gonna hate me, but I am gonna give it I'm gonna give it a C plus. I'm not gonna
hate you, man.
I think no. Let me explain. You're right on all the points, but you know what sucked the most? It was WrestleMania. Match.
I understand that we were there live.
We
spent a lot of money on that.
We spent a lot of money on nosebleeds.
I'm still hurting from it.
It was a birthday celebration for my brother. I got to meet a coworker who I've never met in person for years now, and that was the finish to both nights. Yeah. That felt not very good to me. I felt like I got shafted hard.
I understand.
B minus was where I was thinking, but then I remember it being there live. thinking this is John Cena's final like WrestleMania main event. This should be great, and it fucking sucked. C plus what I'm gonna give it. I agree with all your points. It's just for me, the WrestleMania main event really bogged it down for me.
I understand that. I was trying to give it as fair professional grade, but I understand in some grading, you do gotta let your personal feelings in there.
Because
So I understand that.
yeah, to wrap things up, I love John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
I think I loved him when he I didn't love him when he started. I thought the Duggan thing was fun. I remember it was fun as a kid. It was stupid but enjoyable. I remember when he won his first singles title at WrestleMania 20 against the Big Show.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck, it was against the Big Show.
Yeah, it was.
Um, and I wasn't there through all of it, like through all the Super Cena stuff, because I kind of dipped out there for a little while. Sometime after I think it was at 21 or 22. I dipped out for a little while. But like I came back. No, I was still a fan of him, but I still like the guy, and like I did agree with everybody, but part of me always liked Cena because it's John Cena. And then out of nowhere, there was just this surge of like people unironically loving Cena. Like at
Yeah,
least a few. Go on.
I was gonna say I feel like that came from a lot of people hated Cena because they felt like he was abusing backstage politics to stay on top,
Cena
and
was
that
not.
he was keeping a lot of people down
Mm-hmm.
that who could have also been sharing the spotlight. And in a way, they're right. Cena did do those things. Like we know for a fact, Cena did a lot of that stuff. But then, after I say 2016 onward, was when John Cena started giving back, where he started putting people over. He didn't appear as often, so they can't miss you till you're gone, kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he did come back, he put people over. And there were some cases where I thought he shouldn't have put people over, like Austin Theory
Mm-hmm.
or Solo Sikoa. At least not that era, Sarah Sikoa. But he did. He was giving back more. And I feel like at that point, people started appreciating him more and started thinking about all the positives that he contributed to the business rather than because when they were stuck with him day in and day out for years and years and years, and he was the Super Cena wins LLL, it grades on people. And I think ultimately there was that point where Cena should have turned heel and they didn't do it. And but then once he was became a part timer, people began to appreciate him more later on. I think that's what
Mm-hmm.
led to that.
Definitely. But it sucks. Not the grade, but like it sucks he's gone. I mean, gone as an in-ring competitor, but like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it sucks. But we move on. I disagree if he says that we're gonna forget about him ultimately 3 weeks
Yeah,
later.
I'm not sure why he said that. We're never gonna forget John Cena.
Yeah.
He is going
Um.
to go down history along with Hogan and Austin as being the face of his generation.
Hell yeah. And like, can't wait to see where we go next in this now Cena in ringless. I don't know term.
Yeah, like it's hard to tell. Like the first half of like we're halfway through this decade. I would argue the first half kind of belonged to Roman Reigns, but I do think the second half is going to go to Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately this decade will probably be Cody Rhodes' decade because usually the top face that people remember mostly as a top guy.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah. That's gonna do it.
uh,
Yeah.
hmm,
That's going to do it, folks, for our Royal Ramble on John Cena's retirement tour. So, other than that, if you're new to the channel, you can hit the like button. You want to talk to us more about stuff like this, comment down below. If you want to share us around, share it around. And if you like us just a little bit more than anybody else when it comes to talking about the Invisible Man who's now not so invisible, hit the subscribe button down below and hit that bell icon as well. What do you guys think about John Cena's retirement tour overall? What were some of your moments? What were some of your matches? Who do you think is ultimately to blame for how it turned out? And do you think Vince McMahon would have booked it better? Let us know in the comments down below. Put down what you have our thoughts on John Cena's retirement tour overall. But most importantly, thank you for watching. Now, of course, Nick, aside from his channel, where can they find you on the internet?
well, you can find me over on the socials. You can check me out on the Facebooks, the Instagrams, and the XX formerly known as Twitter, baby.
And you can check out our pal Mo Brothers on the socials at AfroMobro. And like I said, if it wasn't obvious, when it does come out, our next Royal Ramble will be on key highlights from WWE's Unreal Season 2. which will cover some few interesting topics to say the least. But if you want to check out our previous Royal Rambles, we did one on Karrion Kross and Scarlett leaving WWE back this past summer. We did one on WWE Unreal Season 1 thoughts. And we also... What was the other one we did one on? We
talked about WrestleMania going to be in Saudi.
And, of course, our thoughts on WrestleMania in Saudi in the next couple of years. So stay tuned and check out a look at those. But, until next time, though, I'm Kristen.
I'm Nick Slade.
And this has been a very not-so-Juan Cena-filled episode of 1, 2, 3 Wrestling. And we will see you guys later.
Hey guys, thanks for watching.
If you want to check out any of our previous reactions,
as well as one of our other SRB shows,
check out one of the playlists down below.
And if you want to check us out in the social universe,
you can find us on Twitter and Stardust
at Super React Bros,
as well as on Facebook
at Super Reaction Bros.